Greetings. So, I live in northeast Georgia in an area of Floyd County called YMCA that's very racist. So, sometimes when my wife and we meet black folks who are born around this area, therefore have their place inbred in them, when we tell them we're from YMCA, their eyes get big and they say something like, yeah? Meaning, of course, what are you doing there? And how's that working for you? You see? With some justification, because as I say, this is a very racist county. Fortunately, we lucked out in that we live in a community that is surprisingly very friendly. When we first came out here, we were expecting and have seen Confederate flags and all that, but we were waiting for the cross to get burnt on the front lawn, you know, that kind of stuff, right? But we found instead that the neighbors in our very immediate area are surprisingly, to me, decent people. Extremely, in fact. And I think that it is genuine, not that they are like whites have done. They go out of their way to be kind, really to prove to themselves that they're not monsters. I do not think that this is the case for our neighbors. In fact, their behavior, since I just am interested in truth, however it looks, their behavior has caused me to reassess some of my views. But that's another story. So I live in YMCA, and it's a racist county. We have a good community, but it's still a racist county. And we see that when we go to the gym, the YMCA, which I'm just now coming back from. I don't know if you're familiar with the YMCA. They tend to be very well appointed. I mean, they have equipment up the kazoo, saunas, pools, the whole shebang, right? And they are very reasonably priced. Especially for me, I get the senior citizens discount because I'm over 65, right? So I like it. And my wife and I, we go several times a week. And we encounter racism either veiled or sometimes very open. Now, this is not surprising. Malcolm once said that anything south of the Canadian border is South, meaning the racist Southland. He was not entirely correct. The reality is that anything in the North American continent on both sides of the border is South, because our brothers and sisters in Canada suffer exactly the same kind of oppression, injustice, racial discrimination that we experience here. Police are killing them, poverty, the whole shebang, you know? So North America, the entirety of it, is a racist county. So it's not surprising, of course, that I see this in the Y. And this is an interesting thing. In fact, there are two very, very interesting things here that this experience has clarified for me. And I think you'll find them very enlarging. So, the one thing is that I go to the gym, I feel this racism, hear it sometimes. My wife has heard over her conversations, and we know that many other people there resent our presence. Like, why'd you let these colored folks get membership, right? At the same time, this is very, very interesting. At the same time that they resent us, I have an eclectic workout. I do yoga, which is just off the charts. I have a workout routine which is very outside of the box. And it never fails. I'll do something one day, the next day, a couple of days later, other white folks doing it. You see? Never fails. So even though they resent me and my wife has these interesting locks she calls Tawaya locks, that she designed them. She's beautiful. She's a very strong, determined woman. She is resented just enormously by the white folks there, the white women especially, right? So they resent us. They consider her kind of an exotic specimen. In any case, they resent us. But still, it does not stop them from copying us. They ask her questions about where she get this dress and how she does her hair and stuff, right? Because you know they do braids now, so I don't doubt they're contemplating they want some locks like those too. In any case, they resent us, yet they copy us. The accepted term for this is cultural appropriation. And that is what is so very interesting. Now, because of the George Floyd rebellion, there's been a shift in the paradigm of the narrative. Things that were previously not allowed to be considered at all are now openly said. And one of these things that is part of the conversation now is this acknowledgement by the white ruling class, the white society, that yes, indeed, we are guilty of cultural appropriation. Now, this is troubling because it cheats the truth. The term cultural appropriation cheats the truth. In reality, the white race is not guilty of cultural appropriation alone. Rather, it is guilty of civilization appropriation. Science, math, astronomy, architecture, medicine, any human achievement worthy of the name of achievement that white folks have laid claim to, they stole from us. They copied from us, you see. But they blow smoke. You know, the devil lies even when he's telling the truth. So here the devil says, we're guilty of cultural appropriation. But inside that there is a denial of the larger truth. There is, in fact, a misdirection away from that they are guilty of civilization appropriation, because the concession is, yes, you guys, your music, your dance, your clothing style, we copied that, you see? So as to not have to acknowledge the larger truth, right? They throw us a little crumb. Okay, so that's one interesting thing. But the initial point that got me on this conversation was this white woman today, older white woman, I would say she's in her 60s. I see her and her husband there a lot. He's clearly a retired executive type. You find a lot of those at the Y. You see, that's another interesting consideration. The norm for white people has changed. It has changed. Once upon a time, they deteriorated in their old age, and white girls, for one example, they maintained their allure by binge purging, you know, the whole anorexic, nervosia thing, you know. Now, going to the gym is the norm for them. Fitness, health, the norm for them. Eating healthy, the norm for them. Even the elders, they're eating different kind of healthy diets, healthy regimens. Not necessarily vegan, but it's changed. So I see a lot of old white folks there, and they're enjoying the hell out of their retirement, right? So there's one white woman, she said to me, I was hitting a heavy bag, right? And this is the conclusion of part of my routines there. So she says to me, what I knew many of them thought when they saw me hit the bag was, you're getting a lot of anger out there, aren't you? See? So I told some BS about, now I'm just lubricating my joints, whatever nonsense, right? The fact is that I'm really getting my cardio on extra hard. I'm developing some techniques and all that kind of stuff to stay in sharp, but you know, get my cardio on, right? But she saw a black man hitting and striking with ferocity, therefore violence. You see, they have this stereotypical racist view of us as being violent. Of course, we do have the capacity for that. All humans do, especially those who have been oppressed. So there's that. but we're not violent in the way that they perceive. And this is where it gets interesting. So, historically, we black people, black men especially, we have been just artful, natural fighters. We've been just skilled fighters. I remember when I was coming up, I don't want to detour too far into perhaps extraneous details, but we've always been very skillful fighters. It's natural. Whenever go into a shi or a dojo or taking any kind of formal martial arts, just throwing our hands, we just have rhythm with everything, right? And so that's been that. Now this also leads me to another little digression part of me, but that once upon a time, white dudes, they see us coming across the street. There were no parts of it, you know? Now they have a new normal with that as well. Now they go into the gym thick, heavy, and they're taking martial arts, MMA especially. So now their nuts are hanging a little lower. We're just doing a little boxing thing, getting fat, most of us, too many of our youth, not healthy, drinking, smoking, puffing on blunts and stuff. They in the gym. They may do a little stuff on the side, but not the way we are. They're fit. So that also is a new norm for them. But that's another story. So anyway, so I'm hitting the bag, and I'm just gonna get my thing on. This woman says, "You're getting a lot of anger out there, aren't you, right?" And I was thinking, well, you know what? You got it backwards, lady. I did not say this to her, but I was thinking, you have it quite backwards, woman, because we black men especially have had to learn how to defend ourselves individually, because we as individuals were all we had. Whereas this white woman and her corporate executive husband, who got rich, has a wonderful retirement because of how they exploited, brutalized indirectly. He perhaps was not there getting the blood on his hands himself in the Congo or in Nigeria or whatever. But he had proxies committing his violence for him, so he did not have to himself. The same thing is true for this woman or the whole white society. They have amassed armies of killers who do their violence for them. So it allows them the luxury of the delusion that we're just so civil, we're just so kind and compassionate, and we just shun violence. It's just so abhorrent to us. We never engage in it. Yeah, mofo, you do not have to, because you have masses, millions of proxies doing your dirty work for you. Law enforcement, the National Guard, the different military branches, and of course the militias, and of course too, they're armed to the dang teeth, you see? So this was just another delusion that I observed, another hypocrisy I observed at the gym today. I wanted to share this with you. The point ultimately is how clarity, understanding truly the nature of things, empowers. It empowers. It liberates us from just misdirections and consequently false actions, false choices of behavior, right? Because now if we see that this is the reality, then the way that we engage whites, the way that we relate to ourselves is different. Any case, make it that what you will. Peace.